It's all about patience, like being true to your goals that you're trying to achieve, being true to your process, and that comes with patience because you have to like stay there and actually do the work.
Hello everybody, and we're back again with episode 3 of the Toppgolf podcast. Today we're going to talk about the interesting subject of winter golf and winter practice. Uniquely in Norway, we have 2 sides to the season. We have 6 months outside, and this year's been glorious and brilliant, hasn't it? And then obviously everybody's probably really now thinking, with 5-6 weeks left of the season, do I put my clubs down or do I keep going? I know I've had this chat with my lessons at the moment, so hopefully today we're going to talk about how we would approach winter, getting our golf games ready over the next 6 or 7 months for a super 2021 season. Marielle, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I think this is like the greatest time to start working on your game, just like we talked about last week, doing stuff with your golf game in general. But I also think this is like the prime time to start working on your fitness level, getting ready for next season, because this is the time where you can actually do the work.
Ken, what do you think? So we've got 6 weeks left.
Yeah.
Get to the end of, let's say the season finishes in the first weeks of October, which would probably finish by the 15th. It'd be too cold. Maybe you get a few Saturdays left if we're lucky. What would you recommend to golfers? Should you take a couple of weeks off, or should you go to your golf coach and and your fitness instructor, your nutritionist? There's so many coaches these days involved in the game at all levels. So how would you approach that? Would you take a bit of time off?
That time off you're thinking about, I think, is a great time to actually plan it. Right? Planning is key. Just going into the season, the winter season, just winging it, it's not really going to do much, is it? I think it's actually a great way to plan it and actually have a solid idea of what you should do through the whole winter time. And I actually had a question for you, Mark. I think it's quite important to pick your brain here, because you're the one with most experience here, by far. And you've had a few winters in Norway. How do you actually keep players motivated through the winter time?
Well, that's a very difficult question right on the spot. Well, I think that's very hard, and it's to answer, and I don't think there's a right or a wrong answer there. And I would put it always back on the individual. So as a coach, I think what's important to do is never tell anybody how they should be and how they should act, but to be a good motivator, to encourage, to make engaging practice sessions, engaging gym sessions. Maybe at times I've brought in relevant people depending on the level of the player. But it is very, very hard because obviously the hardest time I think is November, December. Sometimes I've recommended golfers just take a break, take 2 months out, go and do something else. As golf coaches, I think we should do the same at times, because we coach 10, 11 months of the season. We want to be fresh and ready to go for our players.
We all have holidays.
You can have holidays, but go back to your question. I have worked with some tour players, and I've also worked with some beginners in the winter. And it's dependent upon the level, but as a coach you are a motivator, you are an encourager. You're many roles to golfers, so if you can keep upbeat. I think one of the things that in the early days I was brilliant at was I got really good at making engaging sessions. And I often used to say to all my players before they came in, can I take the session today? And there's 2 sides to that, and I always look at golfers' motivation levels when they come in and they say to the coach, what we doing today? Because I would always want the golfer to get on the mat and show me what they've been practicing. So there's 2 sides to the coin on that question. It's on the coach and it's on the player, but ultimately, no matter what, it's down to the player for me. It is. So you're there to facilitate the learning, to support the training, to make sure that it's engaging enough. You're working on the right things. It's a team thing. It's like I say, it's on the player, what they want to achieve, how they want to achieve it, and then if as a coach you can buy that, you can get into that story and put yourself in there with them. And I would also say if they've got some depend upon the level, if they've got some physical or nutritionists involved, you're going to go and see them, you're going to get involved with them, and then it becomes quite a good thing. What I will say from a coach's point of view as well, you can exhaust yourself from buying into a story that winging it, like you said. And I've done that a lot, and it's not very healthy. So I think it's a team thing, and I love getting behind stories like that and being involved in it. And then coaching is a life, really. It's
It is.
you know, you're doing it all day, every day. So
I think it's actually quite important that planning is a part of it, to actually keep that goal in your head, to actually have some motivation, right? Just winging it's gonna be really easy to fall out of the wagon and really, what am I working towards?
So I ask you both though, what do you think? Is it like important for the player to get in and like talk to the coach and make sort of a process plan for the winter period? Or do you think it's like more up to the player to decide what they want to do? Or do you think we should be more of the people deciding what they should do? What's your
I think it's a
perspective on that?
cooperation there. I think both have to come to whatever's going to work best for the player, what is actually doable for the player. Because as coaches, we are immersed into this world of golf, right?
Right.
And for some people, like you said, depending on the level, it might be possible for some might not be.
But
So you
like
have to
if
come to
you
a
if you see that
compromise.
from a different perspective, though, if you like have a beginner versus a more advanced player, would you still do the same kind of process with them both?
yeah, I don't think there's any difference. It's just
Just development.
It's coach knowledge, that, and understanding where the player's at and what they need, and you know, you making sure that everything's in place. I would say real great coaching is understanding that and knowing who's coming in for that day. So you look at who's coming in and you are ready when they come in with, right, you know, if it's a beginner, you're going to have to guide it. If it's an advanced player, you're looking at them to know what they're going to come in and do and show you that they've been doing it, they've been practicing.
Right.
You know,
You had a really good point there. They have been practicing, because I think being a coach, it's important to sort of like guide the people that you're working with, like help them out and figure out the way that they want to do it. But then again, it's so important that the player you work with actually do the work in between lessons, that they don't just like come to the lesson without working on it, because then it can be kind of difficult, I think.
Yeah, I think that's
actually
why
have to make
actually-
the work as well, right?
And that's why I wanted to ask that question, right? Because the players have to buy into the story, their own story, right?
Yeah.
I cannot be
You
here
have
and
to
just
own
pushing
your
you.
own progress. You
Yeah.
have to own your own journey into the game.
It's your game.
If you're investing your money into a golf coach or golf lessons, I would say you would want to race into that mat, get on that mat and show the coach, look at this. I'm going to show you. Since last time, I've been working on this. I've done this. Is it better? Have a look. Give me some feedback. And then, you know, I would say, if you've bought a package of lessons or you're paying individually for lessons, don't go back for the next lesson until you are convinced you've done the work and it's better and it's improved. And I think that is a great motivator for anybody, no matter what you're working on at any stage. Don't go back until you're convinced that the pro's going to go or the coach is going to go, yeah, I can see
That's better.
I can see a difference. And you know, it's hard to stand there and change your golf swing. You know, often I say to my golfers, before you come in the room, go into simulator number 1, don't turn on the screen, and make 10 swings of what you want to make when you come into the mat with me. Make 10 swings, and nobody can do it. It's so
You're
hard.
touching on the same subject as last time as on the golf course.
Yeah.
Can you actually create what you...
Yeah, it's very hard for golfers to do it, and you know, to be disciplined enough, you know, because you have to be focused when you want to change your golf swing. You have to be there, you have to be present. And in today's world, mobile phones, you know, all the distractions that go, and switch your phone off when you come in, turn it off, put it in so far deep in your bag you'll never find it again, and you know, and just be dead focused when it's your time. You know,
Yeah.
One thing that I used to do in my early days here in Norway, I coached a lot of juniors and good players at the club I used to work at, and I used to pitch up. Some of them went to these golf schools like Vang or
NTG.
yeah, and they had common practices at Fornebu, and I used to pitch up, turn up on the practice sessions and watch them from the cafe how they practiced. It was so unproductive. They actually got worse. So this is where your coach can be awesome on any level. Can you come and watch my practice sessions? Can you just sit there? I'll pay you. Just sit there and watch me and tell me how I'm doing. And that is probably more valuable than the golf lesson, because
How do I practice?
most of the time you're going to be on your own and you're going to be training your own. And I would say, get your pro in. I'm going to Fornebu, can you come? Or I'm going to practice on the indoor driving range at Toppgolf. Can you just be there and watch me in the first 10 minutes?
I also think it's important because when you're indoors, you're obviously not practicing as much as you're doing when you're outdoors. First of all, it's not the same to stay and hit balls into the wall for like 4 hours a day. You probably won't do that. And then I think it's like important to try to make the lessons you have indoors more valuable, though, more efficient.
Yep.
So that's why you're saying like seeing some ways that people are practicing is actually kind of important, because that little time we actually spend practicing and working on something has to be valuable, because we don't spend so much time practicing as we usually do when we're outdoors. We're not playing on the golf course like we used to do. So the time is really valuable.
And it's hard because it's inside. Like so
It is.
It's not the real game. It's against the screen or a net, and feedback could not be that accurate. So you're relying on yourself, your own feel, your own judgment. But you know, it's hard to go into the indoor driving range, stand there, make 10 practice swings before you hit every golf ball. But I would say that was what golf is asking of you. Golf is a test. It's saying to you, here's a 90-meter shot, hit the middle of the green. Here's the club you're going to use. How would you move your club and body to produce this shot? So you'd stand there. If it was an exam, you would stand there and you wouldn't walk in till you're ready, until you're convinced that that is the swing. And I'd like golfers to practice like that in the winter.
One way I like to look at it is that what you do at practice is what you end up doing in the game. So if you're practicing in a poor way, you will actually play in a poor way. So if you actually increase the level of your practice, you will increase the level of your game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, you know, and I was going to mention there, when I coached, let's say, advanced golfers, in the summer, what I would do is I'd go and watch them. I'd go and watch them play.
Yeah.
And I'd be quiet, and I'd just watch from a distance. And I'd watch several times. And then I'd look at shots that they couldn't play.
Yeah.
And then what I'd do was, this is when I was very committed.
Are you saying you're not committed anymore?
Well, yeah, I am, in a way. But
You are.
it's, you know, it all depends on the level. I don't coach that level anymore. And when I did coach that level, I've got to say I gave it my whole life, so I'm proud of that. So if anybody's judging me now, I do the same on a different level.
Yeah.
But what I did was I watched them play tournaments and practice rounds. And what I did then was I went to the driving range and created, with cones and paint on the floor, the shot that they couldn't play, the shot that they struggled with. And I set up an environment that was fun and engaging and challenging. And I tested and I tested and I tested. And I helped the golfer create the same scenario in practice, and then we went back out on the golf course and tested it. And that's another way to practice in the winter. What shots do you think you need to create to play good golf? So that might be, I might say, well, out the 9 shots they say there is, I'm going to focus on 4 of them, and I'm going to develop 4 of them. And I think off the tee I might need a Tiger Stinger or a power fade or an Alabama slammer or a Texas tree snapper. Whatever shot you need.
Power draw.
You know, so it's engaging, it's fun. You could or just one skill. This, you know, Phil Mickelson famously said, just develop one new skill every year and don't change your swing.
Yeah.
You know, which is dead interesting. So that's another theory, another theme, but very relevant to what you're trying to do. Try and agree with your coach. One skill you want, one shot you might develop, or 3 or 4 that you're going to need to play tournament golf, and go with that. What about what we're saying? Is this for all levels of golfers, do you think? Is this the way, what we're sounding so passionately talking about? Which is true, because we want all golfers to get better, you know. And the question that I keep asking when I walk up and down the driving range is, golfers come here for many reasons. They come here to relax, to be fair.
Yeah.
They come here to get away from their busy lives, the home.
Come here to be social,
They come here to be
see
social.
their friends, you know.
So I know we're judging them in a way when we walk up and down past them. So there's many reasons people will be here. But we're talking now on a level that if you're new to the game, you want to get better, or you're an advanced golfer, this is about improvement.
It is.
We want people to improve, and is what we're talking about for those people, is that for everybody?
I think you're talking about building skills. When it comes to that part, yes, it is.
I mean, we're all like on different levels, so or like sort of like, well, the skills may change based on which player you are, depending on like if you want to develop like a more advanced kind of shot. I mean, if I were a new beginner, I probably wouldn't think about hitting flop shots right now, you know.
Yeah.
But that might be important for a tour player. So it's like, I think we're all like sort of working towards making a skill or create a better skill in something, but I think it kind of varies a little bit what kind of skill, depending on the level we're at.
Like you said, there's like different reasons why people are here, differences why people play golf, what they are trying to get out of it is different. But I think everyone wants to do the best they can do
Exactly.
out there.
And I also think that the winter season is a time where we can work on, for example, our mobility and flexibility, because it's so important. If you're struggling like to make a certain swing in the season, it might be because you're too stiff, I don't know. So this is like sort of the time where you can work on those sort of things as well. Like just standing at home working 10 minutes a day for your mobility or flexibility, it can make a huge change in your mobility and stability for the start of the season again, because it's easier to do the things you're working on.
It is. And just a fun fact, I actually have been struggling quite a while with hip turn. And I never took my ass to actually get to the chiropractor, and I got there and I figured out that I actually have low mobility on my right hip. Took me 6 years to actually get to check that, right? That could be fixed right on the spot. So working on your body, it will help you.
It's so important.
It is extremely.
And that's like sort of the time where you can work on it, because you're not playing so much anyways. So it's like, I don't
build
know.
up.
What about the mental game? What can you do about
So much. That's a lot.
That's a big subject, a
Yeah,
big question.
it is.
One tip, Ken. What would you do in the winter to help improve your mental game?
I think one of the greatest things about the winter time, it really tests your patience.
Yeah.
Right? In practice, how long can you stay there and work on that skill that you're trying to achieve, or that change that you're working on? And being in a moment on that process might really help you be a better player towards the end of this season, when you're getting towards the real season, let's say, by working on patience in the winter, because of how actually hard it is to work through it, might get you to.
And it is hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is hard.
Because if you start working in November and we're still inside in potentially April, you're getting a bit frustrated about where the ball's going.
It does.
It's it can be quite
it's a long process.
It's also like frustrating because you can't see what happens. Am I doing this better? Can I feel like the shots are getting better? I can't see it.
What about you, Mariel?
Does it feel?
What would you say about mental tips for the winter?
Well, I agree with Ken. It's all about patience, like being true to your goals that you're trying to achieve, being true to your process, and that comes with patience, because you have to like stay there and actually do the work. And if you're in the process of being patient with it, it's so much easier to commit to it and not get distracted by anything else. I mean, when you're standing in there, don't go around and like talk to people. Sort of like zone in and be in your own little bubble. That's like...
So what we could say is...
Hey, don't laugh.
Don't talk to people. I love it.
that was the old Mariel.
That was the old.
I know.
She came in the center. Whoa, watch out.
But there's also some value in it. If you're going to do a task, focus on the task.
So what we're recommending to our golfers at Toppgolf, and everybody comes in the centre, we should get some comfy chairs for them when you walk in, because your life's so busy. You're racing from work to here, you're meeting your friends, you're going to practice. I would recommend, from what you two just said, sit down, put the phone on silent, take a bit of water or coffee, and close your eyes for a few minutes and get yourself calm, ready to face what you're going to do. Or write down on a notebook what you're going to do for the next hour before you go and do it.
Make a plan.
Make a plan, and then go ahead and do it.
Yeah, and then afterwards reflect upon it.
Yeah.
Why didn't this session go the way I wanted, or why did it go well, or why did that happen?
Why
did I
happened
achieve
and
what
why?
I wanted? Right? Is it a progress towards my goal? Am I closer? You know, all these like reflection questions is important.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. Loads of information again.
Right?
About, we're not there yet, but we're gonna. It's time's flying.
Yeah.
And time will always arrive. Not getting any younger. So, yeah.
Season is
the winter is going to be here soon, and Toppgolf, the indoor centre, will be kicking its doors open with all the simulators on, and the indoor practice, and we'll start to see people arrive. So I would recommend to everybody who's watching to have a think. Get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Get yourself ready for the season, the winter season, and contact your coach and start asking the questions now.
Start making a plan.
Start making a plan. Marielle is the queen of
Be
plans.
organizing and structuring your plan.
Nutrition, fitness, golf coaching, you name it. Marielle's got it. Get yourself ready. Sit down with your coach before the end of the season and go, right, I'm going to take 2 months off, or I'm going to start in November, but I want to be ready. Yeah. And I want to have a clear 5-6 month plan of every time I come in this centre, or every time I go and do my golf, what is it I'm going to do? And
then it's time to crush next season.
As always, myself, Marielle and Ken, we're here to contact through our social media channels. I'm Mark Davis Golf on Instagram. Marielle?
Marielle02.
Muriel02, Ken.
Ken Villanger.
And we welcome questions, and we can help you as much as we can.
Get in touch.
Get in touch. Thanks a lot. See you again soon.
Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.